Okay, yes, and I'm a Bitcoiner, so I am buying what you are selling right now. But to push back on you just a little bit, because of the real estate market in Canada, I think Australia is very similar, is
Mm.
such an important piece to the economy and the overall GDP in this country. Could the powers that be not just say, okay, we do want the credit growth to expand, amortizations that have been capped here at like 25, 35 year range? I think Australia is ahead of us. Well, let's just go to 50 years, Peter. Let's go to 80 years. In fairness, everybody should own a property. Let's go to 100 years. And me, the politician, thinking this way, I'm thinking I just want real estate activity. If I'm creating someone who's going to be a slave to that debt for the next 50, 100 years, I don't care. I'm not saying that's right, by the way. I just want the economic activity. I want credit growth. Let's just push out these amortizations to drop the monthly payments. Everybody can keep the party going. We can drive up prices. And there you go, Peter. I've just I can make more credit happen. What do you think when I say that?
I think we're both, to hear that, you're admitting what the problem is.
Yeah.
So if a client pushes back to me with that, it's like, you don't have to sell me. I'm already sold on Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, sure. All those new dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I'm just trying to hit on the point. Could someone who's debating whether they should go into real estate more than Bitcoin at this point see a way for capital, or credit growth in the real estate space through these other levers that they can pull,
This is going to be really unpopular, but there's a whole host of resources that they can, or tools that they can put in place, which can keep this party going for the next 20 years easily. And this is where our respective countries are very similar, in that our entire country is built on, in Australia anyway, is built on the property sector. Most of the wealth is in residential property, obviously some commercial as well. Our banks make up nearly 40% of the Australian Stock Exchange, and our banks are literally a leverage play on the Australian residential property market.
Yeah.
They're the most profitable banks on earth because they're leveraged to the Australian property market. And then in addition to that, we've got probably another 10 to 20% of the Australian Stock Exchange is listed property REITs. So we're up to maybe 60% of the stock market is dedicated to the banks / residential property. And so every lever in the country, whether it's the household, whether it's the government, local, state or federal, or alternatively our listed companies, are all leveraged into this Australian property market. So I don't want to bet against the Australian property market because I think that's complete madness.
Sure.
Because
the powers that be,
they're going to keep that party going.
Yep.
I just want to find something better because I look at the risk building up that no one wants to acknowledge, because it's not in anyone's best interest to say, hey, look at this elephant in the room. We really need to look at it. It started shitting in the corner.
This doesn't look good. Yes. Yeah.
So I want to find something as a bit of an escape hatch, an alternative, something with much better fundamentals than, say, the Australian or Canadian or US property markets. And this is where, purely on a demand supply curve, I look at Bitcoin and think, well, let's look at our respective countries and think there would be less than 1% homelessness in the country, would be my fair estimate. I think it'd be less than 0.5%. What's interesting though is that I believe that Bitcoin is just as important, maybe a little less important than oxygen and water and food, but it's really important, but we just don't know that yet. However, there might be 5% of our populations really understand Bitcoin and actually have any of it in any meaningful capacity whatsoever. And so I look at that and think, this is an inverted supply demand curve relative to the property market. Property market, everyone knows what you're getting there. You're getting basically property, you're getting the whole country, the government, the companies, the persons, all rooting for property to go up. And it's completely understood. There's no misunderstanding with that asset whatsoever. Bitcoin, on the other hand, I believe is far more important than property. It's going to demonetize property, and only maybe 5% of the population really understands what that upside potential is. I look at that and think, well, that's far less risk associated with investing in Bitcoin than investing in and taking out huge leverage on property.